Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Another huge update from the stadium site today, and once again the progress is looking really impressive across multiple areas. The structure is moving fast toward its final shape, with clear visible changes in both exterior and interior works, and every new stage is bringing the stadium closer to completion. So let's get into today's update. The third tier is now very close to structural completion, especially around the curved corner sections where workers continue installing the final prefabricated seating slabs. From the upper rows, the panoramic stadium view already looks spectacular, giving a clear idea of how fans will experience matches from the highest level. Most of the concrete work across Gol Sur and Gol Norte has already been completed, while only a few smaller sections near the stair cores still require finishing. The upper level is now starting to look like a fully completed stadium bowl. The compression ring installation is progressing rapidly around the stadium. New steel boxes continue being lifted into place as cranes and crews work across multiple sections simultaneously. Workers are securing each section using temporary supports, bolts, and shoring structures while preparing bases for additional installations. The size of these steel components is massive, with some sections weighing up to 40 tons. More support towers and radial beam connections are also being prepared, allowing the roof structure to advance faster across both Gol Norte and Gol Sur. Inside the VIP ring, construction activity remains highly active with crews working on aluminum framing, curtain wall systems, and interior divisions. Technical spaces, hospitality zones, and service corridors are becoming easier to recognize as more structural work gets completed. Around the interior core areas, workers continue progressing on enclosure systems and unfinished connections near the sandwich panel sections. Around the mobility core structures, workers continue preparing the facade connection systems. Some upper and lower support pieces are already fully installed, while other diagonal connection sections are still pending. Crews also appear focused on painting the exposed bolts and rear steel beams black before fully closing these areas with facade elements. This preparation work is important because once the lamas are installed, these structural areas will become much harder to access. The lateral side of the stadium is now advancing quickly with facade support installation. Multiple vertical and diagonal connection systems have already been completed, and several sectors are almost fully prepared for future lama placement. Workers are progressing section by section, first securing the main vertical supports, and then adding the diagonal reinforcement pieces to complete the facade framework. The lateral section was one of the busiest areas today, with elevated platforms, cranes, transport vehicles, and workers active almost everywhere. Teams are simultaneously working on facade supports, compression ring preparation, parking access structures, and multiple interior construction zones. Suspended working platforms are also being installed around the radial beams, so crews can continue operating safely at higher levels of the structure. The structural frame around the corner section now looks significantly more advanced than before. Large beam sections that were previously missing have already been installed, making this area appear much more closed and complete. Only a few upper structural gaps remain unfinished, and the entire corner is starting to match the more developed sections of the stadium. Preparation work for future lama installation continues intensively in this corner area. Workers are aligning anchors, adjusting guides, and carefully preparing the support structures using elevated platforms throughout the day. Almost all the groundwork for the facade appears close to completion now, and this sector looks ready for the first lamas very soon. Higher up in the structure, crews continue preparing the horizontal support systems for the black sandwich panels. Some nearby sectors already have the panels installed, while this area is still in the alignment and preparation phase. Workers appear to be adjusting the steel supports carefully before beginning the next stage of panel installation. The north goal corner continues showing some of the most impressive visual progress around the stadium. Two major facade sectors are now fully covered with lamas, creating a much more finished and modern appearance. Compared to earlier in the week, the difference is huge, with entire sections now completely filled and ready for crews to move toward the next prepared sectors. Workers are currently active applying black paint with a roller, carefully covering the spaces between the bolt connections on the main beam structure. Movement in the surrounding interior zones is relatively limited today, with no significant activity visible in some sections, although a few workers can be seen gathered in discussion on the upper level. A container is being repositioned nearby, indicating ongoing logistical adjustments on site. Overall, the area shows a mix of light finishing work and minor operational movement, with most of the visible progress focused on detailing rather than large structural changes. In another north corner sector, workers have started installing additional support connections for the future llamas. More vertical supports are now linked together, and the facade curve around the corner is becoming much easier to appreciate visually. The structure gradually changes angle as it moves around the stadium, giving the facade its flowing and continuous design. In the sandwich panel section, workers are actively cutting, adjusting, and positioning panels for proper fitting. Some panels are being lifted into place while others are trimmed on site to match the steel structure. Crews are carefully checking alignment before fixing them, with a few areas already partially installed and the rest still in progress, showing steady step-by-step advancement. On the lateral side of the stadium, significant advancement is visible in the installation of decorative llamas. Areas that previously had exposed structural pillars are now being progressively covered. The integration of these llamas is transforming the visual appearance of the facade, giving the stadium a more complete and refined look. Structural supports are being aligned precisely, ensuring proper placement and continuity across the exterior design. The Tribuna section also remains highly active, with workers operating from elevated platforms around the large black steel beams. More reinforcement materials and structural components continue arriving in this area, while crews work on multiple upper-level sections at the same time. Interior construction also remains active behind the visible facade structure, especially around scaffold zones and service areas. Near the access points between South Goal and the Tribune, construction continues on future commercial spaces. One of the key developments in this zone is the future club store area. Internal movement is visible, with workers actively organizing materials and preparing interior frameworks. These zones will become key fan engagement and retail spaces once completed. Work in the South Goal sector continues moving forward, with crews now installing more vertical support structures for the future llamas. Workers are carefully fixing these supports directly onto the black steel beams, and the spacing between the facade and the structure is now clearly visible. In several sections, the first anchor systems are also being installed from elevated platforms, confirming that this entire area is getting much closer to llama installation. In the final corner section, crews continue welding and securing additional support pieces for the facade system. Workers operating from elevated platforms are attaching connection elements that will later hold the vertical llama supports. Alignment work and structural adjustments are still ongoing here, showing how much precision is required before the facade installation can continue further. Overall, the stadium continues making strong progress across nearly every major construction area. More facade supports are being installed daily. Additional compression ring materials continue arriving on site. Sandwich panel work keeps advancing, and multiple sectors are already prepared for new llama installation. The exterior is becoming more complete every week, and the pace of work across the stadium remains extremely active as crews continue pushing forward on several phases simultaneously.